want to first of all thank all of you, and it's a good turnout here this morning, and thank all of you for joining us. We know this is a matter of interest to many throughout the province and people in communities throughout Newfoundland and Labrador. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge Minister Hutchings, who's here with me this morning, Minister of Municipal and Intergovernmental Affairs, and also Mayor Terence Rogers, who's the President of Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador. And thank you, sir, for joining us this morning and for working with us to get us here today. I also want to take a moment before I proceed, just take a moment to also acknowledge some other ministers, former ministers, who have been involved in this process since we first took the first steps in 2013. I want to acknowledge Ministers Kent, Jackman and Crummell, all who have had involvement with this, but I also want to particularly acknowledge MHA Kevin O'Brien, former Minister Kevin O'Brien, as I see is here with us today. In 2013, when this was first announced, it was groundbreaking. It was a change. It was a shift. There was a lot of heavy lifting in those early days, and Kevin O'Brien was front and center on that. So I want to acknowledge the work that you did as well when this process first got underway. And as I mentioned, in Budget 2013, our government committed to complete a review of the provincial municipal fiscal framework, and we committed to do that within 2 years. And following significant amount of research, analysis, and consultation, as we said we would do, today we're fulfilling this commitment and announcing the outcomes of this fiscal framework review. Outcomes that will strengthen the ability of our municipal sector to deliver quality services to the people and the businesses within municipalities. Building on the strong supports and significant investments our government has made in the communities throughout Newfoundland and Labrador over the last decade, Budget 2015 investments will provide further support for a strong and sustainable future for communities. Today, I'm very proud and pleased to announce that a new community sustainability partnership, one that is designed to ensure the residents of our province are provided with improved quality of services. The initiatives which accompany this new partnership will strengthen communities, both economically, socially, and will provide a solid foundation in helping all municipalities to continue to grow and prosper. This new community sustainability partnership is more than just fiscal in nature. There are new revenues, but there are also new supports for our communities which are equally as important. 2 new revenue streams are being provided in a phased approach over the next 3 years. Municipalities, Inuit community governments, and local service districts will receive a partial rebate of the provincial portion of the Harmonized Sales Tax, and we will begin sharing provincial revenues from gasoline tax with our municipalities. We will ensure that appropriate accountability measures are in place so that this new funding facilitates investments in priority areas and enhances the quality of services to the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. In addition, we're providing a 3-year commitment to municipal operating grants at the current $22 million annual amount. And this will help municipalities to plan and provide better sustainability beyond the 1-year budget cycles. We're funding a 3.5-year pilot project for regional water and wastewater operators, which will assist communities who are experiencing challenges, and we will help them to build capacity. Further supporting the goals of clean and safe drinking water, we will engage a consultant to focus exclusively on solutions to reduce the number of boil water advisories within the province. We will utilize provisions in the Lands Act regarding the creation of reserves to assist municipalities in acquiring Crown land at market value in a phased approach for development. And as well, we will begin the development of a provincial municipal asset management framework. And finally, an advisory committee will be established, engaging the social and economic sectors to explore a regional governance structure that enhances, supports, and further sustains our local governments. Through the initiatives provided under this new community sustainability partnership, an additional $46 million will be invested in communities throughout Newfoundland and Labrador over the next 3 years. This year, in 15-16, we'll invest an additional $5.9 million. That will grow to $15.8 million in 16-17 and $25.1 million in 17-18, with an ongoing annual investment after the 3 years of approximately $25 million annually. These new investments are in addition to the existing revenues government currently provides to our municipal sector. I'm going to pass it over now to Minister Hutchings, who's going to provide further details on our plan.
Thank you, Premier. Good morning, everybody. As outlined, this Community Sustainability Partnership contains a number of important initiatives, including both new revenue streams and supports to build capacity, each of which are needed to sustain our communities. The details of the new initiatives are as follows. A rebate will be provided to municipalities and local service districts of 25% of the provincial portion of the Harmonized Sales Tax beginning in January 2016 and will increase to 57% in January 2017. This will provide approximately $1.9 million in new revenue for 2015-2016, approximately $10 million in 2016-2017, and $17 million annually thereafter. Municipalities will receive a portion of our provincial revenue from gasoline tax beginning in budget 2015, starting at 0.5 cent per litre in 2015-2016, which equates to $3.6 million. 3/4 of a cent per litre in 2016-2017 at $5.3 million, and growing to 1 cent per litre in 2017-2018 for $7.1 million in new revenue annually to the municipal sector. Through the new municipal operating grant formula announced in 2013 and the increased annual investment of $6 million provided in 2014, over 80% of the eligible municipalities received an increase in operating grants and none saw a decrease. Responding to the need for predictability in this funding so that communities can plan ahead, Budget 2015 provides a 3-year commitment to municipal operating grants at the $22 million annual investment level. We also know from our extensive review that revenue alone will not address all the challenges faced by our municipalities, especially our smaller ones, whose challenges are very different from that of larger towns and cities. Our government has recognized that smaller municipalities in particular need operating assistance with their drinking water systems and help understanding what they need to do regarding the new federal wastewater regulations. 3 regional service boards will implement regional water and wastewater operator services from October 1, 2015 to March 31, 2019, targeting a pilot group of communities that meet certain criteria. This initiative provides for trained water operators to offer much-needed support to small communities that are experiencing challenges in the operations of their water systems. Many of these communities are challenged in dealing with their obligations associated with assessing and monitoring their sewer outfalls as per the new wastewater regulations. Through the investment of approximately $1 million over the 3.5-year pilot, these operators will provide assistance and advice to help build capacity in these communities. To further assist our communities in the area of clean and safe drinking water, we will engage a consultant to focus exclusively on solutions to reduce the number of boil water advisories. While boil water advisories are necessary to reduce the risk of water contamination and protect our residents, many can be eliminated through proper operation and maintenance of water disinfection systems already owned by those communities. This initiative will provide needed guidance to help communities identify what steps are required so that their boil water advisory could be lifted. The additions of the Crown Lands reserves, which the Premier referenced, would allow the municipality to purchase parcels of Crown lands at market value within the reserve area in phases over a 5-year period as demand and finances warrant. This will further enhance the municipality's ability to avail of economic and social development opportunities to grow their communities. Recognizing each order of government has an important role to play in sustaining our communities, new accountability measures are also being implemented. To access municipal operating grants and the new provincial gas tax revenues, each municipality must submit a summary of its taxes receivable balances to the Department of Municipal and Intergovernmental Affairs, along with a plan to adequately recover those taxes owed. We feel that municipalities can help improve their own financial health by collecting on taxes owed to them, and we are willing to work with them to provide a template to assist municipalities in reporting this information. Recognizing the capacity challenges many communities face, we expect that municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador will play a role in supporting municipalities where needed with this requirement. In addition, to access these revenues, all municipalities must maintain their own source revenue levels on a per capita basis. And municipalities identified for water and wastewater initiative are expected to fully participate. These measures are intended to ensure that new revenues do not simply displace revenues generated by our municipalities, but instead increase overall revenues available to enhance the quality of services for our residents. We will continue to build on these accountability measures through the development of a broader accountability framework that ensures the new revenue streams and other supports we're providing through this new community sustainability partnership are used to facilitate improved services in the areas important to the residents and for which they indicated during our review that improvements were needed. Infrastructure planning for our municipal sector is indeed important. Accordingly, the Department of Municipal Intergovernmental Affairs will begin development of a provincial municipal asset management framework that will provide further details on the current state of municipal infrastructure in our province, which is necessary to further quantify municipal infrastructure gaps and to help inform long-term investment requirements. The Department will consult with the existing Joint Infrastructure Committee, which has representation from MNL and other stakeholders as it works to develop this framework. We will also initiate consultations regarding the potential expansion of the authority for municipalities to allow for blending of business and realty tax. In addition, we understand that a legislative accommodation tax is a new revenue source that municipalities would like the authority to implement. However, we also recognize that the hospitality sector is not supportive of this, at least in the form and manner currently sought by MNL and some individual municipalities. If the sectors are willing to work together to explore whether a model exists that would achieve the core objectives while addressing the concerns of the various stakeholders, we are open to continuing to consider this matter. We therefore invite MNL and HNL to come together with the objective of developing a joint proposal to present to government that has the support of both sectors. Even with the new revenues and capacity supports we are providing through this review, to ensure we have a sustainable future for our communities, there are other opportunities that is incumbent on us to explore, one of which is potential regional governance structure. During our review, stakeholders stated that they felt the status quo is not sustainable. We need to examine whether a regional government model exists that would further improve sustainability and enhance, not detract, from current local governments. Such a model would need to support our local governments, facilitate regional services, and drive regional economic activity, as well as build capacity to make our existing local governments stronger and more sustainable. Therefore, an advisory committee will be established in the coming months to provide advice on the principles and main components of a potential new regional governance model. Informed by the work of the committee, the provincial government will conduct consultations with the public, municipal sector, communities, and other stakeholders beginning in late 2015. I'd now like to invite Gerance Rogers, President of Municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador, to say a few words. Gerance.
Good morning. Thanks, Minister Hutchings, and thank you, Premier, for being with us this morning as well. MNL has been working on a fiscal framework for 10 years now, and in 2005, the late President Herb Brett released a report of his President's Task Force on Municipal Sustainability, and that's when we started down this path. We've conducted our research. We hired leading economists. We partnered with, and we're pleased to partner with MIGA last year on the consultation piece that we did across the province with our membership. And based on our consultations, our own research and input from our members, we developed a position paper which we submitted to the provincial government last fall. A paper that was endorsed by our membership overwhelmingly at our AGM in Corner Brook. All along, our goals have been to provide immediate new sources of revenue for the municipal councils, to focus discussion on innovative long-term solutions like access to income tax, and to open a dialogue on the need for regional government as a long-term solution for the municipal sector. That's why the recommendations in our position paper were separated into three primary groups. The first group represented moves that the provincial government could make quickly and have significant impact. The second group represented longer-term changes that might be a little more difficult to bring in. And the third group represented changes that while helpful, wouldn't provide a significant impact or could be difficult to create. But nevertheless, based on the advice and the discussions and the consultations of our members, we decided to categorize our proposal in that manner. Our goal for this budget 2015, was to see as many of our Priority 1 group items implemented as soon as possible. And of the 5 items in our Priority Group 1, 4 were announced here today. The HST rebate will mean significant revenue for many of our municipalities. The new provincial gas tax transfer formula will mean all municipalities benefit equitably. Knowing the municipal operating grant amounts for the next 3 years will provide planning opportunities, which is very significant for the municipal sector. And a commitment to public consultations on a new regional government system is critical to the future of the sector. Other items announced today also came directly from our recommendations: improved access to Crown lands, support for new regional water operators, and the continuation of existing capital cost sharing ratios. Several of these announcements will mean more money in the municipal coffers, while some will provide much needed support for municipalities. The regional government consultations alone have the potential to change the municipal landscape significantly and for generations. So there's new money going into the municipal coffers right away and increasing over the next 3 years. And discussion on regional government has started. And to me, folks, that's a first great step. Of course, there's still a lot of work to do in modernizing the municipal system and getting vital services like clean drinking water and proper sewer treatment to all residents. We need bigger changes to tackle some of these problems. Bold, innovative thinking on predictable long-term municipal revenue will be needed to solve those problems. And we still believe access to income tax and sales tax is a part of the solution. Where we go on the fiscal framework next is a conversation that we'll have with our membership. But today, I want to thank Minister Hutchings and the Premier. I want to thank Minister Hutchings' staff who have worked out with us on behalf of the municipal sector. I want to thank our friends in the business community and the labor groups that have spoken out on this issue in support of our cause. I want to thank people of the province in general who made their voices heard and spoke to their MHAs and cabinet ministers about the need for a healthy municipal sector. Thanks to our CEO, Craig Pollitt, and staff at the municipal office here in St. John's. And most of all, thanks to the municipal leaders, the thousands, the hundreds, and the thousands of people who have attended consultation meetings, conventions, symposiums, who've written letters, spoken to the media, crunched numbers for us, and who presented at pre-budget consultations, and who supported us last fall at our annual general meeting that laid out our position and our position paper at the AGM in Corner Brook, which received overwhelming support. This announcement today is reaction to that fiscal framework proposal, and we thank Minister Hutchings again for the work that he's done, and the Premier, of course, for being with us today. Our work isn't over yet, folks, but 4 out of 5 from priority area number 1 ain't bad. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sheriff. Thanks, Sharon. And if I could, on behalf of the Premier, I certainly want to recognize MNL staff as well for the work that was done over, well, the past 2 years, but certainly over the past couple of months. You know, the dialogue back and forth was extremely important to where we are today. And as well, the officials of Municipal and Intergovernmental Affairs, certainly I recognize those in my department and the work they've done over the past 2 years, and certainly bring this to conclusion today. Communities throughout the Labrador are our foundation, our history, and certainly our future. Through past initiatives such as revising the Municipal Capital Works funding ratios in 2008, making infrastructure more affordable to our communities, to significant increased investments in infrastructure, and the provision of guidance, support and training, we are continuing to demonstrate the importance we place on our local governments, providing them with the support needed to develop communities that people want to live in, do business in, and raise their families. The provincial government, however, is just one partner ensuring our communities continue to thrive. Municipal governments also have a role in addressing the challenges that our communities face. Our government is at the table and willing to invest and work with municipal leaders to ensure residents in our communities are provided with quality services. Our municipal leaders also committed during this review to do their part. We are confident they will embrace the opportunity being provided to them through this new community sustainability partnership and invest in areas their residents see as a priority. Through these new initiatives and supports and the significant investments provided in recent years, our government will continue supporting all regions of the province, especially rural communities, as they develop initiatives and focus their efforts to support, maintain, and grow their communities. Thank you very much. That completes the formal process here this morning in terms of announcing our new community sustainable partnership. And I guess we'll see if anybody has any questions.
If you're sharing HST and gas tax municipalities, does that mean we should expect those taxes to go up tomorrow?
It's only tomorrow. Michael, you wouldn't ask a question about the budget before Budget Day, would you?
Yes, I would.
Budgets are complex, and being my first budget as Premier, I've learned, like I haven't before, how complex they are, and even though I've gone through budget processes as a minister. So it's really difficult to take any part of a budget in isolation. You have to look at it in a very large picture. And tomorrow we're going to lay out details of our plan in a larger scale, and what's contained in our budget. But this was an important piece of work for us as a government to do. And I've got a background myself as a municipal councillor. I was elected 3 times in my community, and know firsthand how some municipalities, especially some of the smaller municipalities, and some have extenuating and unique circumstances that makes it very, very challenging for some municipalities to do the work that they need to do in their own communities. And we wanted to work with MNL and work with municipal leaders in the province to find a way forward so that we could partner with each other, that we could find ways to support municipalities so that the services they provide to the citizens within their own communities can be the best that it can be. And I want to, again, just to acknowledge the work of MNL and the partnership. And when you do these things, the minister as well and his staff and the staff of MNL, but when you do these things, sometimes this is heavy lifting. And I know it because I've observed, especially in the last 6 months when a lot of details were being done, that it can be a difficult and challenging process. But I'm quite pleased today that we're here announcing this today. And this is a way forward and a better future for citizens and communities throughout the province.
This money is backloaded in a big way on the HST rebate and the gas tax. Is that a reflection of the province's current fiscal position? I'm always a believer when people talk about in many ways. Right now we're at a certain level and we want to reach here. It's really difficult to go from here to here. It's a challenge to go from here to here in many ways. And we always have to find a curve. And moving the curve and moving in a direction over a period of time has to reflect the complexity and the goals that are being achieved. Sometimes that could be over a short period of time, and depending on the complexities, can be a much longer period of time. We've taken steps to build a 3-year commitment, sustainability, better planning for municipalities, and that's really important to municipalities. Implementing progress in providing stronger fiscal opportunities for municipalities, that's important to them. You can't change how they do business overnight. It has to be gradual. They have to move with the times, and we're facing a similar kind of circumstance in our budget when you look at it from a provincial perspective, because oil dropped essentially overnight and had a significant impact on us overnight. But we're trying to make a curve and where we change how we do business and how we provide services and programs that will keep our communities sustainable. It'll keep our economy sustainable. We have a very strong economy, keep communities whole and keep them strong as well. So there is a curve, but there's many aspects of what's on our minds when we create that, and we phase in and work together in the implementation and the expenditures that go with it.
Just as a quick follow-up to that, speaking of the fiscal situation, we have the University of Calgary report suggesting you could be facing a deficit this fiscal year of $1.8 billion. Would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, I heard that number this morning, but I didn't see them in the cabinet room when we were talking about budget. But so look, tomorrow we have a significant fiscal challenge that we are facing, and we will lay out all the details of this tomorrow.
And we've been talking for some time, and you can very quickly look at very high level on the revenues that we receive from the oil industry in Newfoundland and Labrador, the benefits that the people of our province have received in the last decade, the benefits of creating more jobs and opportunities, higher wages, and growth in many parts of our province. And when that comes to a grinding halt, that creates challenges on many, many fronts. And we've been working very, very hard to mitigate the negative impacts caused by such a reduction in our revenues. So where the numbers are, we'll announce those tomorrow. But it's interesting because I've heard other people make assessments of where they think those challenges are, and sometimes people are making some assumptions. But tomorrow we'll lay all that out.
And just as a quick follow-up, just to give you a chance to respond, some people are suggesting that these pre-budget announcements are a bit of a distraction tactic. How do you respond to that?
Well, there's some important work that we've done during the budget process, and some items that were very important to certain members of our population and our communities. This is one. This is very important to municipalities, and we didn't want this to get lost. This has been a lot of work by Mayor Rogers, Terence Rogers himself, who's been intimately involved in this process from day one. And there's been a significant amount of heavy lifting. It's important to his membership. It's important to mayors and councillors throughout the province, and it's important to us as a government. And it's valuable for us to take this separate from the main budget so we can have this discussion specific to this topic. And I think it's important to MNL we do that as well. I don't know if you want to comment further.
Yes. Well, we've always said to Minister Hutchings and to Minister O'Brien and others that set the chair for municipal government that whatever happened in Budget 2015, we wanted something that was sustainable. And we recognize the fiscal realities that the province is facing at this point in time. But what we wanted was the start of a process. And today we're announcing the start of a process. And for us, it's not about we'd love to have all the money up front, obviously. But, we're realistic people as well in the municipal sector. We face our own challenges dealing with our own municipal budgets. So whatever we're announcing here today is something that we believe is achievable, sustainable for municipalities and for the long term. And other than the money, it's a commitment to things like the advisory committee to deal with regional governance, for example. Something that I fundamentally believe is an absolute necessity if many of the smaller communities in rural Newfoundland and Labrador to survive today. I think there has to be a sense of regionalization, regional cooperation, regional shared services, and so on and so on. So this for us is the start of a process which we believe will, enhance the ability of the municipal sector to provide the services to the residents that they serve.
When you talk about sustainability, obviously this is only a 3-year deal. Is there an understanding that there will be stable funding at the 2017-18 levels going forward, or what's the expectation at the end of 3 years?
Our expectation as municipal leaders is that this is the start of a process and that we will see further improvements in this down the road. This is not the end-all and be-all to what we've been working towards. I've referenced a couple of things in my remarks about shared income tax, shared sales tax, and so on and so forth. We still believe fundamentally in some of these principles based on the analysis and the research and the conclusions we've reached. Obviously, what happens in 2017 will be a determination that some government will have to make, either this one or some other government down the road after the next election. If the Premier may very well, want to have another discussion in a year or two or three, or the Minister. We're prepared to have the discussion. We've had discussions with a number of ministers in municipal affairs. Our staffs work very cooperatively, and it's our determination. This is a good start, but there are areas where we can certainly improve for the betterment of the communities and the people that we serve.
This is just so I may add, sorry, that this is also about growing capacity. of municipalities. Many municipalities will say, we don't have the capacity to do the things we should do and we need to do and so on. And if you look at the boil water advisories as an example, in some municipalities, we don't have the capacity or ability to fix that. So this is about growing capacity. This is about building on the foundation of how municipalities operate and the services they provide. So it takes time. It's going to take time for municipalities to build that capacity and for us to work with them for that to happen. So these things just don't happen overnight. It takes some time to do that.
You mentioned that you were...
regional service boards, how will the province be carved up?
Yeah, there will be 3 regions. We'll start with the pilot. There will be Eastern, Central and Western. And there will be communities identified that, based on our data in terms of challenges with boil water advisories. And we'll work with those communities. They'll be expected to work with those setups in terms of the Regional Service Board. And as well, outside of that, as was mentioned, we'll do a very comprehensive review from a consultative point of view of all of the province in terms of the challenges of boil water orders and what can we do in terms of things like standard operating procedures that we can initiate with communities that once they get identified as a boil water advisory, how they come off that. So we provide that capacity as well.
Minister, can you talk a little bit more about the taxes owed and the accountability structure? How big of an issue is taxes being owed to municipalities?
Well, there is some issue in regards to receivables outstanding. We would require now towns as we go forward as part of the accountability structure to be able to identify to us what the account receivables are. I think MNL has done some work in the past in assisting in that area. Obviously, as we're moving forward, we want to make sure that towns and communities maximize their receivables. If we're investing new public dollars into municipalities, we need to make sure that recovery is maximized. We will require them to identify, as I said, the receivables outstanding and as well a process going forward of how they would look to recover those receivables that are outstanding. And again, we'll work with MNL and I'm sure they'll work with their members as well to move that forward.
And part of this as well essentially is they're not allowed to cut taxes to get this new money?
Yes, we would look at per capita right now what they're receiving, so we wouldn't allow them to replace new revenue with current revenue that they're now generating in their community.
So this has to be more money for them. This can't just be a replacement for...
Exactly. I mean, what we've heard and through discussions and dialogue is that, as the Premier's mentioned, there's a need for capacity. So if we need to build that capacity, we need funds to build that capacity. Yeah. So the people at the province are certainly investing their funds in the communities to allow to build that capacity. Chairman, I don't know if you have anything.
Yeah, it makes sense that this be incremental. We want this to be providing additional dollars that municipalities have to work with, not to replace $1 with another. And that's the reason for that average, that base that we're talking about per municipality that you've seen in your budget for the last number of years, for example.
Is there any difference between how larger cities, this money will flow to larger cities versus the smaller communities? If I remember correctly, a couple of years ago, they didn't have access to the MOGs?
Well, 2 years ago, restructuring, there were 7 of the largest, I guess, cities and towns were taken out of the MOG in 2014. At that point, we introduced a $200 million multi-year municipal capital works, and the 7 entities at the time certainly got larger increases in terms of municipal infrastructure. But with this new revenue sharing agreement or partnership, those 7 largest municipalities will now be entitled to the extra revenue stream. So they will receive, just like all communities this year, the revenue stream.
So how will it be decided who gets what? Will it be on the size of the community or?
Gas tax will be distributed equally, the first 50%. The second 50% will be distributed on a per capita basis. So that will allow all communities initially to get a share of that, small communities, large communities. And then after the first 50% will be done on a per capita basis.
Of course, HST is rebate-based on spending on this.
Yes.
That's the gas tax share, right?
Yes.
You're referring to.
Premier, in some sense, is this the rough outline of an election platform between this and the other announcements this week? I mean, is this you laying out your plan headed into an election?
Well, you know, election, it's never on our minds, is it? But I suppose if you ask any MHA, elections are always on your mind. But we have to make choices that make sense. We have challenges in the province in many areas that we've talked about in recent days, and we have to make progress. and we have to make decisions that are right, that are going to provide best services, programs, and a way of life for the people of our province. So that's what we're about. And I said last year that I was going to do some things a little bit differently. There's some things that I wanted to resolve and get done. This was one of them. This is one of the things that was on my mind last year that I needed to get done. And I think I knew it because of my own background in municipal governance and knowing mayors and councillors through that role from all over the province. So I knew how important it was to municipalities to get it done. It was an important piece of work. There was a lot of work done on it over the last couple of years since we first announced it in 2013. We're going to go down this road, and we said we would do it in 2 years, and I want to make sure that that happened.
Mr. Rogers, you mentioned that you got 4 out of the 5 things that were at the top priority list. What was the 5th that you didn't get?
It just escapes me right now. I know we got the HST, the GST, and the gas tax one, and the MOGs. The other one was Craig? Oh, yes. The utilities tax one, yes. That was in category 1.
And what can you explain that one a little more?
Well, it was a utilities tax that is assigned, like for bill or service providers kind of thing that you right now is currently 2.5%. We were looking at moving it to 5%, for instance, for service providers like Bell Alliant and others.
This advisory panel on regional government, so is this looking at like a county system or regional municipalities or amalgamation? What will that look at?
I think it's clear to say that when you want to explore something and municipalities, Newfoundland, Labrador, and government say, well, this is something that we think we should have a discussion about. Accommodation tax is the other one. We also want to have a discussion about how commercial tax and residential tax are applied in municipalities and how that may take place. And is there options for that? And I think the right thing to do is to let representatives to go away and have those discussions and determine what may be the best structure, how would it work, how would it be implemented in various parts of the province. And so I wouldn't want to zero in on any particular option because there are a number of options around that have been done in other jurisdictions that have had varying degrees of success. So I think that's the work that needs to be done before we get to that decision.
Yeah.
Municipalities can't lower their mill rates, I take it, under this deal. Is there any requirement that they raise them or adjust them at all?
I mean, the concept of this is, as the minister referenced, is that municipalities have come and said, we need a larger amount of revenue in order to be sustainable. And we don't want this to be replacing a level of revenue that municipalities already have. And I think Churns agrees with that as well. That's not the intent of this. So we needed to make sure, we need to find a way to make sure that this doesn't become a replacement, it becomes an additional. We want the towns and communities to build capacity, to become better at the roles that they play and responsibilities they have, give them the ability to do that, give them the financial ability to do that, but also let's build in the level of accountability that ensures that we're moving in the right direction.
Does that mean they can never lower their mill rates? Like even if there's a surge in property values or something, they can't?
See, you can. I'm
sorry.
I know the answer too, but you can go ahead, sir.
Sorry. I was going to say the mill rate really has nothing to do in terms of that requirement. We're talking about a average base level of taxation, the dollars that come in. If there's a significant increase in property values and the town has to adjust their mill rates, that's still a prerogative. We're just talking about a base amount that would be an average per municipality that they've had in a number of the budget for a number of years.
If a municipality receives a certain level and this is going to give them additional 10% revenue, we don't want to see them change their revenue streams so that it lowers it by the same amount. We don't want that to happen.
No. We want to see this as incremental. It's additional dollars to provide the services that they need to provide to their residents.
Okay.
It's a good day for towns in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Thank you.
Sorry.